the conditioning that we experience from these systems conditions us from a young age to be a worker, to identify with the roles in society that help and keep this type of society, this type of system functioning. And we consciously know these things. We consciously are aware when we do start to wake up or start to see the illusion, the blinders, the rose-colored lenses be removed from our eyes. And we think because we know, and we tell ourselves to stop thinking this way, or we reject a certain way of thinking, that all of a sudden that's not us or a part of us or who we are. But the work is so much deeper than that. It's a physical thing, because how our bodies, how we live our lives, what we believe in is so much more than the mind. It's so much more than mind work of consciously knowing. We have to connect to our bodies, and this disconnection to our bodies is what's really missing by design. It's what's preventing us from moving forward in the way that we want to and making the change that we want to. And the thing is, we're always moving forward. We're always changing and evolving. And even being disconnected to your body isn't stopping that from happening. But being connected to your body, you open yourself up to more opportunities, and to expanding your emotional capacity. You're consciously creating your reality, because there's a sense of presence and awareness that requires being connected to your body. So if you were to ask me why I think it's so that we need that revolution requires internal transformation, is because connecting with your body is revolutionary. That we need to connect to our bodies and our hearts, our souls, into our internal unknown, tap into the universe that exists inside of us, to move forward and to create outside of us, to co-create, because we're always co-creating with the universe. We are always co-creating with these systems. But because so many of us are asleep and unconscious to our power and our truth, we are manipulated. And it's by design. We are manipulated. We are brainwashed and filled with propaganda to fulfill and satisfy somebody else who is aware and awake to their own personal power and uses it to manipulate and harvest other people's energy. And so when you wake up to your own, you quite literally take your power back. And, this is something that is so multifaceted, multidimensional, it is holistic in the sense that this is not the solution to everything, but it is something that we lack in these spaces, talking about, recognizing, really connecting with, and knowing how to do that. Connecting to our bodies is so important to make intentional, aligned action in a way that is new and pushes the bounds of what we know before. Because when we work from our minds, we're operating from memory. We're operating from what we know has worked, or, we try all of these things. But sometimes when we connect to our soul, when we connect to our bodies and our spirit and that internal guidance, that internal universe in us, and we pour into that and we co-create with the divine, because we are the divine, we are going to be led and divinely helped and supported. And the thing is, we're always divinely helped and supported. You don't need to recognize that or to know that within your being for it to be true or not. So many of us are unconscious to ourselves and our internal worlds and our own internal foundations, because a lot of it has been molded for us in our childhood. And so it's so important to dive within our childhood and our experiences and the foundations, the wounds, the fears, the desires that you have from your childhood, that you validate them and you see them, you give it the time and the attention and the nurturing that it needs. So many of us are operating from old programs and conditionings from our childhood. We're operating from outdated systems that have been programmed into us from societal expectations and beauty standards and what's right and what's wrong, belief systems and ideologies and value systems centered around and only existing because of systems like capitalism, colonialism, white supremacy, all of these ideologies that make us feel like we're not good enough, that everything is outside of us and that we need to spend our money and we need money and chasing validation and stability. But we're not connected with ourselves, so we think that we're going to be happy once we find outside of ourselves, but we're never truly going to be satisfied or fulfilled if we are still disconnected from ourselves. There is going to be some level of satisfaction in these new communities that we try to build if we do not have a deep connection with ourselves, because to have a deep connection with yourself is to have a deep connection with the divine. It is to have a deep connection with each other, because yes, we might be individuals here in this physical reality, but we are all interconnected. We are all extensions of each other. The fucking wind is blowing so furious right now. I'm like, I need to let my dog go. I was like, come here. Damn, go. Be good. But Angelica, my girl. And these old programmings and conditionings that we have been built with, that are in our internal structural foundation of our identity, and our identity really truly shapes our reality. And obviously there are external things at play that shape our reality. It's not just us solely responsible, but we have a huge responsibility in why our life is the way that it is. But moving on, this conditioning is based on illusions, is based on things that are not true, like not being good enough, not being worthy, being unlovable. That's not true. And yes, we have experiences where we feel that, and that is valid. And we take that on as our own belief system because we don't know any better. When we are constantly experiencing the same trauma over and over again, big T, little t trauma, that shapes our brains and our nervous systems and how we operate and function in this world, our relationship with ourselves. So when we really tend to those wounded parts of us, our nervous system, and these stories that we tell ourselves, and we even have the courage to question these stories and these narratives and these beliefs, not to change them or to force it for you to not believe it, but to work with yourself and with your body, and going to those parts of you that feel that way, that experienced that you feel that, and what experience caused that. Because the thing is, you didn't feel that alone. That didn't happen alone. That happened present with family, with your caretakers, in school, and literally anywhere, even, and it can happen with yourself when you're on social media and you are watching an ad curated for acne, and there are always things in society that are telling us to use skincare, or that acne is bad, or that acne is something to be insecure about, and that you should want to change, that you should want to fix. So much of what is fed to us in this world, in our culture, is perpetuating off this internal foundation and identities built on not being good enough. And when we start to collapse that, when we start to eject our belief and our energy and our emotional charge to that belief, and we start to change our identities and our internal foundations of what we believe about ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, our ability and our capacity to unconditionally love and accept ourselves in such a radical way that is literally revolutionary. Because when you change that internal foundation, you start to fucking move differently. You start to make different moves. And you do it confidently. You do it in a way that feels right for you and your body, and not based on what your mind thinks is right. Our disconnection to our bodies is also a disconnection to our planet, our universe. Our lack of valuing the universe, this planet, taking care of this planet, prioritizing extraction and exploitation over nurturing and love, is making not only us, but the planet sick. When we feel deeply connected with ourselves, and we connect with ourselves, we also connect with the planet around us. We feel connected to every living thing. We feel connected to the trees, the fucking clouds, the grass, the wind, everything, because we are all interconnected. Feeling connected, feeling deeply, is such a beautiful thing and a beautiful experience to have that anybody can experience. It takes a lot of risk and a lot of courage to do that. Come on. To see the beauty in everything and to feel it and to experience it for yourself. Come on. Because to see and to feel the beauty in everything is also a reflection of the beauty that exists within us. Because we are the universe experiencing itself. So many of us, including myself, I'm very guilty of this, oh my God, are curious and wonder and ask, how are people going to find me? And, focus on the people who don't want to do the work. We think that, nobody's going to want to do this work. People aren't going to do the work. But that's not your job to find out or figure out. It's not your job to find out who is going to hear your voice, who is going to be moved and impacted by your truth, your authenticity, your authentic frequency, the natural essence, of your voice is what you focus on, is what you put out there. You show up speaking your truth, you show up in your truth, and when you put yourself out there, you're going to be found regardless. But nobody's going to hear you if you don't show up, and that is co-creating with the universe. You meet the universe halfway by doing your part, doing what you have control over, and the universe handles the rest. The universe will place your messages for who it needs to be seen by. Your message will be heard and felt by the masses, even by the people who aren't ready, who don't want to hear it, who just maybe in this lifetime they might not choose to go down that path. That's okay. But on the other side of that are people who connect with you and feel seen and heard by you and really feel what you do in their heart. Doing this is a risk, but you got to meet the universe halfway.